That's scary. Let's bring it up to 100 pounds. I thought I had the right gear for our keel bolts, but it turns out I don't have nearly beefy enough stuff. I think I have the attachment for our torque wrench to fit this size. But yeah, these are way beefier. 1.5 inch versus 1 1/8, which is what our old boat had. So the idea here is I'm going to slowly increase the torque setting on this torque wrench. It doesn't get nearly high enough to actually get it up to the 350 pounds or something that this 1 inch bolt needs to get up to. This torque wrench only gets up to 150 pounds, so that's pretty shy of the 350 pounds that I need, but at least I'll know if it's super loose. Like if it's under 150, obviously it's way under spec and I'll have to crank on it quite a bit. 90 pounds. Oh, the bolt actually moved with 90 pounds of force. That's scary. Let's bring it up to 100 pounds. So it turned a tiny bit. Just like our other bolt, it was way under spec. I'm gonna try to max out this torque wrench and get a rough feel for how much force that is at 150 pounds. I'll move through and start tightening them up at 150 pounds and then come back and see if I can give it a little bit more.
And Coral wants to come out and there's a big hole.
Coral, where are you gonna land here? Where are you going? You're gonna fall into the bilge. All the way into the bilge. So this is like the only bolt I can access. There's another one here underneath this battery compartment, which means I've got to remove manual bilge pump and this wood compartment that's kind of like screwed in. And then there's another two underneath here. So there's one more down there that I can't quite access without taking out this platform. So all these batteries got to come out for me to access these 4 bolts. We got this disconnected, couple here. I've got to remove those, but let's put in this temporary floor and eat some food, because Alex made some wonderful food.
Yes, tasty.
Very good.
Is it good, Coral?
Keep busy.
Oh, is it delicious?
Oh yeah, looks like it. Yeah.
C'est bon?
Good. Coral's inspecting my work. Been doing a good job? You think so?
I get the
Yeah, you're looking in the hole. Oh, no. Yeah, that's 5,200. Alright, I got most of the, what looks like 5,200 off. Starting to get a little more movement to it. Let's see if I can. It's really, holy, it's in there. This is crazy. I've been going at this for a good half hour. It's definitely 5,200. I've got a bracket here. I've taken out the 2 screws, and even the bracket is a pain to get out. And I have to somehow take all this out without ideally breaking it. But I think I'm just going to tear it out at this point. I'm getting frustrated. God, this stuff. If I didn't hate 5,200 before, I definitely hate it now. It's crazy. Like, there was already brackets holding this in. 5,200 was so irrelevant. And it's not like you ever want to access your keel bolts ever again, right? It's gonna come out. Or am I gonna have to take it apart into 3 pieces? It's loose, but I don't think I'm gonna be able to wiggle it. Oh, maybe. Maybe. Come on, baby. Come on with it. All right.
You got it.
That only took like, I don't know, hour and a half, 2 hours. So last night before I went to bed, I was able to clean out the bilge a little bit and expose these two keel bolts that need to be tightened. That one to our right, I was able to tighten up to about 110 pounds. I'm gonna try to get a good feeling for about 100 to 110 pounds, and then add an extra, like double the length and distance with a pry bar or a piece of pipe, and try to extend my bar basically. So right now I've got this guy, and then I've got a longer pry bar. It's gonna give me a little bit more torque by almost a half, I guess. Sorry about the mess. I'm not really organized. It's really difficult to get these sort of projects done where I gotta pull up the floorboards with two kids around. Either Kai needs the soother or Coral is wanting to play and run around, and obviously with floorboards out like this, it really makes it difficult to walk around. But anyway, I gotta disconnect the battery to get at the second keel bolt under there, and then there's one final one in under the engine compartment in here. But it's getting late at night and I'm running low on light, and honestly I don't have that many LED lights, so once I disconnect the battery here, I'm not gonna have much light anymore. Probably not gonna bother filming it, but I'm just gonna try to put 100 pounds on or so, and then of pressure. But at least with, you know, the extra length here, I should be able to get a little bit extra torque, and I'll get a feeling for what 150 pounds of torque feels like, how much force it takes to put 150. Something else I wanted to mention that's so different about this boat is, I mean, I was already just telling you the bilge is quite deep here by the batteries, but I mean, it just gets deeper and deeper as you go back. Like the last keel bolt that I can see is down there by that plate or something. I don't know if you can see that. Hopefully I'm getting a shot of it, but yeah, there's one keel bolt down there that I think I can access. But yeah, the bilge is so freaking deep, and I'm assuming there's probably another keel bolt further back, but there's no way I can access it with this big plate here that's or this big tray that's luckily there because it's collecting all my fluid antifreeze that's been leaking over the winter, which I have to address as well. But yeah, anyway, I'm gonna measure that. That's I don't have enough extensions to get down there. I might be able to get my arms in between these little gaps though and work lower down, but I'll never be able to get 300 pounds of anywhere near the right torque I need on that bottom bolt. Just under 3 feet of clearance that I need to be able to even get any torque on it. I don't think I have enough bars for that. 100 pounds. It's 5 in the morning. Got up nice and early before everybody woke up so I could disconnect the battery with some light and clean up the second last keel bolt here and the last keel bolt there to get them ready for torquing. I also did a bunch of research on torquing keel bolts, and I can't find a there's wet and dry settings basically for torque specs. The wet being lubricated with some sort of lubricant. There's different correction factors basically that you're meant to use to correct if you're using different kinds of lubricants. You know, oil or anything, a penetrating, you know, WD-40 or something, or anti-seize. It would all require a different torque spec. But all I can find online is that for this size of bolt, it requires 350 pounds. So I'm assuming that's a dry torque spec. Also, something to mention is all my keel bolts are right down the center. There aren't like leeward keel bolts and windward keel bolts when we're sailing. So I don't have to worry about one loosening off if it's under torqued when we're heeling, just like your shrouds would loosen off. Anyway, my main concern I think is over torquing them, past their original torque. Obviously 350 pounds, if it was actually torqued to that originally, I'm gonna have a hard time getting that much torque out of it anyway, because I mean, I'll need a really long bar and I really don't have all that much room in here to move a bar. So the plan is finish getting 100 pounds of torque on these 2 bolts, and then we'll work from there. We'll decide if I'm going any more, because the problem is I've cleaned the outside of the bolts, but obviously some bilge gunk and oil and residue have migrated down into the threads. Hope that my dry torque spec will work, but I'm not sure. You guys maybe let me know.
Maybe I won't torque these because it looks like the original epoxy that they put on the bolt around the bolt seems like is actually still intact. My guess is it's still at its original torque, but the front 2 didn't have that epoxy. This one also, even though I tried to torque it, this next one, yesterday, it didn't budge at 100 pounds, and it's still got, you can't quite see it probably, but it's still got some epoxy around the bottom of the nut as well. So yeah, I don't think I'm going to bother doing those 2, because to me that just makes sense as that's still torqued correctly. Hopefully the one in the engine compartment is the same and it's only the front 2 I have to be concerned about. That'd be sweet.
Tu veux dans les bras corales? Ok, assis, accote ici. Accote ton dos. Ah, tu veux te coucher avec Kai? Ok. Oh, et voilà.
Oh,
Morning cuddles.
Big sister and little brother spending quality time.
Smiling and sticking his tongue out.
Well, the last bolt that I can access at least is 3 feet down. I got a tool made up here to clean the top of the bolt because I'm trying to see if there's any epoxy. It's just a broomstick with a rag taped to it. Once I get that bolt clean, I'm really hoping there's still an epoxy layer like on the other 2. All right, Grandma has the 2 kids. Alex is doing some dishes. And I'm gonna finally finish tightening these keel bolts. Can't see, it looks like, feels like it's spinning. It's such an awkward position. Finally found a spot I could put some torque on it. That was 120. Wow, 350. It's gonna be impossible with that like a crazy bar. $140. That time it spun. Oh, that one hurt a little. Last time it didn't spin at 120, even though I torqued it at 110 and it spun. But there might have been some excess bilge gunk that was lubricating stuff that's dried out over that period of time. I don't know. My goal here is just to get it as much as I can with the torque wrench and then a pry bar that's a little bit more. So whatever force, I don't think I can put more than 150 pounds. I'm not a huge guy. All right. Alright, spun a little. Alright, 140. I think I can do 10 more pounds, and then I'll do about the same force with an extra 6 inches of extension. 150 plus 70 roughly, so 220. 220 is still shy of 350, but I'd rather not strip them. Let's go see if the keel to hull joint is tightened up at all. I've only tightened this by 40 pounds or so, but let's see. Here's the keel to hull joint. I put this in to give myself a rough idea how hard. Oh, it's still roughly the same, so it hasn't really budged. Alright, it's gotta be close to that 200 mark. Jeez, I feel like I'm gonna bend something in here. Darn it! Darn it! What? Stop the music!
Copyright infringement.